You're listening to the Wordslinger Podcast, episode 007, Storytelling and Content Marketing with Rachel Parker. This episode of the Wordslinger Podcast is brought to you by me, Kevin Tomlinson, and my new book, Citadel Omnibus, which collects all three of the Citadel books in one volume for the very first time. Pick it up today on your Kindle at Amazon.com.
It's the Wordslinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented Pants Optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Hey everybody, this is another one of those special days where I'm actually recording from a car again. I swear this is not going to be like my regular thing, or maybe it will. Maybe I'll start doing this every podcast. It turned out okay last time, right? This time I'm broadcasting, if you will. I'm actually talking to you from South Jersey, New Jersey, which is nothing at all like I expected it to be. It's actually it's gorgeous here, man. TV and movies have really lied to me about Jersey. So to everyone within the sound of my voice who lives in Jersey or loves Jersey in any way, I apologize for the sort of prejudice I had against this state. So I've been fooled. No, it's gorgeous here. There are we're here in October. I don't know what date you're listening on, but it is currently October 16th. That's a Thursday, 2014, depending if you're years in the future from me. But it's absolutely gorgeous here. It's fall. It's there are a lot of I'm from the greater Houston area, so we get basically two colors in our trees there, brown and green, and one of those is dominant, and I'm going to let you figure out which one, and probably not the one you expect. So here we are. I'm doing a little work from here this week, and I'll be in Philadelphia for the next few days, and I'm looking forward to kind of roaming around there. We're going to check out Philly, but we're also going to get out into Pennsylvania to a few areas that have been recommended to us. My wife is with me, and we're having a great time, man. It's been a lot of fun doing this. I'm going to be doing another podcast in about an hour with Nick Thacker for the Self-Publishing Answers podcast. That's our regular weekly, and you can subscribe to that podcast as well on iTunes. If you're not already subscribed to the Wordslinger podcast, I hope you will. Go rank it and give it as many stars as you're capable of giving it. I need the attention. So go check that out. Pass it around. I hope you really like this show, because I try to bring you some new aspect of story every week, a new voice and story from the people I interview, to get an angle on how story really impacts our lives. That's the sort of tagline of the show, is that this is a podcast about how story influences our culture, our careers, and our lives, and that can happen in all kinds of ways, amazing ways sometimes. So I really hope you're enjoying it. I know I am, man. I'm having a blast doing these things, and I'm loving talking to the people that come on the show. So if you have any questions, I'd be thrilled to answer questions on air. And right now I have like a light listenership, so I'm hoping that grows over time. I haven't had a lot of people send me anything, I don't know if you're shy, or if you just don't have a question, or if it never occurred to you that you could. But if you go to wordslingerpodcast.com, I've got the site up now. I've got a button that leads back to its placeholder page, which is on the kevintomlinson.com website. But wordslingerpodcast.com is now live. It's not perfect yet. It's getting there. I'll have it all set up eventually, I swear. But you can get to the page where you can leave me a voicemail. And if you click the call me button, actually, if you go to wordslingerpodcast.com, you'll click on the button that takes you to the podcast placeholder page on my site. And there's a button there that says call me. And if you click that, you can leave me a voicemail. Google Voice will call you at the number you give, and allow you to record the voicemail, and you hang up and it sends it to my inbox. It's really cool. So go check that out. You can also email me from that site. So if you're a little shy about getting on the air, so all that taken care of, and here we are. I'm in beautiful New Jersey. I never thought I'd ever say that. That's very cool. And I'm about to I've already talked to her, but you're about to hear me talk to Rachel Parker, who is the CEO and founder of Resonance Content Marketing. And you can find her online at resonancecontent.com. And she's a good friend, and she's amazing at this business. She and I have a lot of the same roots. You're going to hear some of that story as you talk, or as we talk. You can talk too. So without further ado, I give you Rachel Parker. All right, hi there. Hey, I'm talking to Rachel Parker of Resonance Content Marketing, and I'm going to start us off by saying you can check her out. I'll announce this later. I'll put it in the show notes, but you can check out her website at resonancecontent.com. She also has the Content Marketing Podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes at the same exact moment you're subscribing to my podcast. So, hi, Rachel. How you doing?
Hey, Kev, glad to be here.
I got to get the plugs in right away.
Exactly.
So I actually have you to thank for the whole podcasting thing. You were one of the final cattle prods that nudged me forward, because I've been sitting here with this equipment all this time, and I was thinking for years, really. I mean, in the sort of month or two leading up to you interviewed me on your show.
Mm-hmm.
And the month or so leading up to that, I kept saying, I really got to do it. I've got it. I can do it. Mm-hmm. And so I have you to thank. And if anyone even gives a crap about this podcast, they have you to thank. So or you to blame. So
there you go. Well, you're very welcome. I've not yet been compared to a cattle prod, so it's an honor.
Everyone needs that at least once in their life,
especially here in Texas.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in talking to you about because the focus of this podcast is story, and it's such a broad topic, but it can be amazing how it aligns with things. And you're in the content marketing game. You and I share that as a career. So tell me a little about how you feel story lines up. Like, what's the role of story in content marketing?
Sure. One of my favorite quotes about story is from a book by Robert McKee called Simply Story. It's actually a book about screenwriting, but he says we are hardwired for story. And that is so true. It's been true ever since, cavemen sat around the campfire, all the way through the ages. And it's still very much true today. And I think story is more important than ever, because as marketers, we are dealing with the noisiest, the most crowded marketplace that has ever existed on the planet. I mean, I can't even go to the bathroom at our favorite restaurant without having an ad shoved in front of me. It's like, can I just pee? Really?
No. The answer is no. You cannot just pee.
I cannot. Okay.
The price of peeing these days is
Right. I just need to deal with it.
I like how you came prepared with quotes and everything. Thank you for for showing me up. I don't even have quotes on my own.
That's it's no preparation. It's just my colossal geekiness. I just carry them in my head.
You're very well organized. Excuse me, man. My voice went off track there. You're very well organized. That's one of the things I've always liked about you. You've got this whole content marketing game down. Tell me, what's kind of the story of your business? Like, how'd you get there?
I got there through a long and convoluted route. Believe it or not, my college major was a double major of political science and German.
Okay.
Which, hey, give that girl a content marketing business,
right? That's exactly what I was thinking.
And was so into that I actually went on to get a master's of international affairs, and came out of grad school into one of the worst job markets that we've seen in a long time. The year was 1992.
Yeah.
And so I kind of floundered around a little bit and wound up working for Prudential, and working in one of their field offices here in Houston. And the offices combined, I got laid off of that job, and I said, okay, this is it. I'm going to forget my studies, forget what I've done in the past. I'm going to figure out what makes me happy and what I want to do. Yeah. What do I want to do when I go to the office every day? So, I did a little parachute book that, we all is part of every every soul searching experience. and just started thinking. And I looked at every job and every school experience, and everything came down to writing.
Hmm.
What I enjoyed was writing. And so I was like, I wonder if one could make a living at such a thing. And did a little more research, and I realized that in marketing, a writer can actually have a career as a copywriter. So got into the copywriting field and got a corporate job, and then wound up working at a certain ad agency, which we are
We'll
with which
go
we are.
unnamed.
We'll go unnamed. We
We
are
both
both.
have that affiliation.
We do,
Yeah.
we do. Spent 5 years there, had a blast, and then went back to corporate for a while, and then did something very intelligent. I turned 40, and now you're not there yet, are you, Kev?
Oh yeah, I'm well past 40. Yeah.
Oh, are you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hit 42 in a week or so.
Oh, the
Yeah.
magic
The
number,
magic number. That's
the
when
meaning of
yeah.
life.
That's when yeah, everything changes and most things go downhill.
Uh, that's right. But you care
Yeah.
a lot
I
less.
do.
So,
I do. You care phenomenally less. I'm amazed at how I just don't give a crap about any
I
of it.
hear ya.
Uh, well,
I,
that's I'm sorry. I'm totally interrupting your history.
no,
Go
no.
ahead. You fill me in on the rest.
Sure, sure. We're almost there, I promise. So I turned 40, and I was working at this corporate job. And, 40, as you know, is one of those ages. It's like you look at your life as a big cluttered closet,
Yeah.
and you pull things out, and then you have a pile of stuff that's good as is. Don't touch it, don't change it. It's working well. And then you have the pile of stuff that needs a little tweaking.
Yeah.
Maybe needs a hem tacked up or a button sewn on, or, something, just a little tweak here. And then you got this pile of stuff that do not pass go, take it to Goodwill immediately and get rid of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I looked into the future of my corporate job, and I just saw nothing to excite me, nothing to get my creative juices flowing. I saw the same old endless stream of meetings and reply to all emails, and
Yep.
the annual review, which is just such a joy,
Yeah.
and that glorious 1 to 2% pay raise every year. And so I was like, well, shoot, other people are starting businesses, taking what they know and turning it into an actual money making venture, and I wonder if I could do that. Um, so I did, and in 2010, in April, I set myself a 6 month program, or 6 month plan, and decided that October 15th was going to be the day. And in between that time, I got my DBA set up, I got my bank, I got my logo set up. So in October 2010, I walked out of my corporate job for the last time and started what is now Resonance Content Marketing.
Fantastic. I
Hmm.
mean, that's there are so many people who are kind of sitting on that same fence and looking out and saying, I wish I could, which is, I think, I wish I could are probably the most poisonous words in the
Yeah.
English language, because what it basically is saying that you want it, but you're not going to get it. Like it's just
Right.
it's right out of reach. So it's fantastic you were able to figure that out and
Yeah.
pull that together. What was the toughest challenge you faced in building that business?
Um, I think the toughest challenge was just, you hear that statistic that most businesses fail in the first year. It
Yeah,
took me the first year to figure out which end was up. I
yeah,
mean, to figure out how to get the key in the office door, pretty much took me a year. And it's just so much, and you have to, people think, oh, I'm going to take my scrapbooking ability, or I'm going to take my consultation ability and turn this into a business, and you think you're going to do that all day long, when the reality is you've got to market, you've got to get out there and sell, you've got to
hmm
go to these networking events and let people know you're there, you've got to do your forecasting, you got to do your bookkeeping. I mean, it's just endless. So I think the sheer volume of different things that were involved was the toughest hump to get over.
yeah. Yeah, believe me, I understand. So let's talk a little about what content marketing actually means, because I think I know actually that some of the people that that actually tune in don't really know. They know what marketing is in general,
Hmm.
and you hear that phrase "content marketing" as a kind of a buzzword.
Hmm.
So what does it mean when you say it? What are you actually doing?
Right. And whenever I get on interviews and start talking about, mention the term content marketing, I can hear foreheads being smacked across your audience because people saying, "Oh God, I need to learn something else."
Yeah,
I just got this social media thing down, and now there's this other thing. But you can relax because content marketing really is nothing new. It's a tried and true practice that has been around actually for more than a century, and basically the idea is to build relationships with your audience by delivering quality content. Now, what is content? Content is something that delivers value. So, content. You and I right now are creating content. We're
yeah,
creating something that delivers value, delivers information, is hopefully entertaining at the same time.
yeah.
But what it isn't is a an hour long ad for either your services or my services.
Right.
What we're doing is we're engaging. We are providing value. Inspiration is also a form of content. So it's building those relationships with your audience through value-based content. And the way you get that content to them is through several different vehicles. It's through your blog. It's through your e-newsletter. It's through your social media. It's through webinars. It's through live speaking engagements. Any opportunity you have to sit down with your audience and say, what are your problems? What are your pain points? How can I help? And then, and then that being said, once you do come on with your marketing message, it falls on much more welcoming ears
Yeah.
because you have a foundation of trust. So people say, "Oh, Kevin Tumlinson, author coach. Oh, he's the guy with that fun and interesting podcast with the extremely attractive guests. Yes, I know who that is. I enjoy his stuff. I'm going to listen to what he has to say when he talks about his copywriting and his author coaching." So that's the basic idea of content marketing. And the first, I'm going to get all geeky here for a second.
Do it.
The
Do it. We're
first, um, for those who still think this is a new thing, the John Deere company started, they realized that they have a very spread out audience. These are farmers working in rural areas. They may or may not have access to the same information someone in a city would. So they started publishing a magazine to help farmers do their work better and to get better results from their crops and to keep up with what's going on. And they started that magazine in 1896. So if you're thinking that content marketing is some kind of newfangled thing that has just come along, it has actually been around for quite a while.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't realize that. I've actually heard you tell that story before, and I assumed they had started that within the past, couple of years. I didn't realize it was that far back.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's one of the things some of the things you were saying, as far as what content is, and like this podcast and blog posts, and even your social media updates and that sort of thing. That's all part of that big ball of gooey stuff. And I think that one of the things that happens, I've seen this with my clients, but there's a sort of intimidation that somehow you got to do all of that. Is there something, though, in particular that someone would want to focus on first if they're telling the story of their brand? Like, how do they start, and what's most important?
Right. Well, the first thing I would say to do is look at your website,
Yeah.
because again, back to the issue of storytelling, people want to know who you are, not just. And by the way, there are two words that need to be eradicated from the World Wide Web, and those two words are "we provide." Okay, can we just get rid of those
Oh,
altogether?
good point. Now I got to go scrub all my sites.
That's right. Search replace, search replace.
Search replace.
Yeah. But look at your website and find out figure out how you can tell people your story and
Yeah.
really introduce yourself to them on a personal level. and talk about your failures.
Yeah.
Put it out there and say, hey, we're not the be all and end all. We're not the slick, glossy, photoshopped, got it all together image that you might expect. And then people will really warm up to that. So, and then that having been done, really figure out what works with your audience. No,
Yeah.
not everybody is on Facebook, or not everybody is on Facebook for business purposes. So I always tell people you cannot go wrong with a fantastic e-newsletter,
Yeah.
because number one, email is pretty much universal. Everybody uses it. And number two, nobody owns email.
Right.
So, Facebook could at any time decide to just delete your page and give you no recourse whatsoever, and those contacts would be gone. But your list is your gold mine, and your list belongs to you no matter what. So,
Right.
if a client is really up in the air, not sure what to do, that's my advice. Start a wonderful e-newsletter, and then as you get into a groove and it gets easier and easier, then see about expanding into those other areas.
That's a very good point, and it's funny how universal that idea is. The email list is still, even I was, I've told you this story, but I was the creative director for a $150 million software company, and those guys still depended on that list. So it's not it's a universal truth there, which kind of begs the question, like, where do you start to build that list? Like, how do you get names in that list in the first place?
Very good question. There are ways to do it. Just reach out to people you know. Send an old fashioned, from one person to another email saying, "Hey, I've got this e-newsletter. It's got, we're sending great information once a week, once a month. I'm sure you find it interesting. Here's how you sign up."
Yeah.
You can do that. There's also I do something really neat. I'm actually a Constant Contact user. No plug there. It's just
That's
don't
Constant Contact at
do
constantcontact.com
constantcontact.com.
slash.
But you're right.
Yeah.
They have a neat feature called, what is it called? Text to join. So when I am giving a presentation, I can put up a slide that says, "Hey, text the word resonance to this number."
What?
And yeah, they give them a
Okay.
number, and you text the word resonance, and then they will get a response saying, "Hey, thank you for your interest in our e-newsletter. Just type in your, or click in, thumb in your, whatever it is that we do. Yeah, type in your email address, and then you text it back, and then they're on your list." So
That's fantastic. I had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that, because Constant Contact is one of those services that I have kind of skirted around. There's so many versions of that out there, but that's the first time I've heard of that service. So that's cool. So, by the way, you talked about letting people know about your failures earlier, and I have direct experience with that, because so I remain very transparent with the show, with my posts. It's part of my brand now is to admit my flubs and failures, and the reaction I've seen from that is people respond much better to that. They get on your side. Has that been your experience? Like, would you recommend? One of the biggest headaches I ever had with dealing with the corporate world was that they wanted to put nice, clean white snow over every single thing that they did. What do you think of that idea of get out there and admit your mistakes and own up and take responsibility? Is that a good marketing tool?
It's a wonderful marketing tool, because people are over the whole slick Photoshop
Yeah.
thing. We live in an era when anybody can have a website, anybody can have a really slick looking business card, anybody can have a really good looking headshot or whatever, and there's no humanity there. It's just all marketing.
Yeah.
So I think when you do get out there and you do admit your failures or things that didn't work out, it humanizes you, and people realize they're dealing with a human being or with a team of human beings, and
Yeah.
not just some facade that you're wondering, okay, well, who are they really? I was attending an AMA conference here in Houston last year, and they had a speaker from Haiku Deck, and she spent the first about 20 minutes of her presentation talking about the failed businesses that were behind that came before before the success of Haiku Deck, and it was just it's very engaging and very endearing, and people feel like they feel like they get to know you, and when they see that about you, they're more likely to trust you because it's like,
Yeah.
hey, he's bared his soul, he showed his scars, I can trust this person.
That's interesting because a large component of my business is helping people, and I've discovered that you're a lot more accessible when they know you've screwed up too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the first things I do in coaching is tell people, here's where I screwed up so that you can learn better.
Yeah.
You can do better than I did. That's interesting. So you know what? I got to apologize because my throat all of a sudden decided it's going to rebel on me.
Okay.
So luckily I'm going to let you talk more.
Okay.
So and I completely lost the thread of where I was going with that original question. But so on your website, I mean, I'm just kind of scrolling through. You've got a couple of you've got a free ebook and that sort of thing. That's something that I always pitch to people to use as marketing tools. Do you? What do you? You and I talked about using books as part of your marketing practice. I mean, books. Can be just about any length. Is there like a target if you're going to provide information for free? I mean, what's the goal there? Like, are you trying to give them a tome or just a quick ebook, or what's a good range of content to try to use for your personal marketing?
Um, I give the same answer when people ask how long should my ebook be, or how long
Yeah,
should my blog post be, or how
yeah,
long should my e-newsletter be, and the answer is always the same: as long as it takes to deliver the content that you need to deliver.
yeah,
I mean, short answer. If you can get it done in 400 words, then make it a blog post. If it's going to take, if you want to provide a more in-depth, more meaty resource, then go ahead and create a 50-page ebook.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, don't fall into the trap of trying to squeeze too much into too small a package, or taking a little kernel and fluffing it up into God knows how many pages, or taking a TED talk and turning it into a book. I am so sick of that trend. It's like, okay,
okay. I'll
I
take
saw
that
your
off my list.
right. No, it's true. It's like I get excited about this book and I watch the TED talk and then I read the book. It's like, okay, it's the same as a TED talk.
Yeah. You know what though? I got to tell you, if I'm ever on a TED Talk, you can look for the book because
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right.
leverage the hell out of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But then, okay, now leveraging was something that you've mentioned this already, but
mm-hmm.
I think, or I may be mixing up conversations here, but uh, all this content that you create, it doesn't have to be just a one-off, right? You can use this in multiple formats.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can go from small to large or large to small. So,
Yeah.
for example, you might tweet out a tip once every day.
Hmm.
For let's say you do that once every weekday for 4 weeks. Well, that's 20 tweetable tips. Well, guess what? That's a blog post.
Yeah.
20 tweetable tips about whatever topic. Um, and then you can go backwards. You can take something really meaty, really substantial that you've written, like a long presentation or an ebook, and pull out little nuggets of information and turn those. You might take a chapter and turn it into a blog post. You might take a meaty little quote and turn it into a tweet. So you really do not have to be reinventing the wheel every time you sit down to
Yeah.
look at your content. You've got it. You've got it somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just a question of repackaging it and repurposing it.
I think that's what intimidates people, is having come up with fresh new content all the time.
Hmm.
How often should they be engaging their audience? Let's say they've got a blog. Let's say
Hmm.
that's their primary tool. How often should they be engaging that audience?
For a blog, I think once a week is good. It's a
Yeah.
good start. I think once a month might be too infrequent. I think there's a lot of I mean, think about all the information that you're exposed to every
Hmm.
day, whether that's email, whether that's surfing the web. I mean, there's a whole lot of information that comes across your brain cells in a 30-day time span.
Yeah.
So I think once a week is a really good starting point. And then from there, once you hit a groove and if you feel a need to do more, then you can expand to maybe twice a week or even more often.
Yeah, that's I break that rule all the time, which is too bad. But I think the problem for a lot of small businesses is that they don't think they have something to say that
Mhm.
consistently. Where do you think they should draw inspiration for material?
They can draw inspiration from a number of resources, or they can hire me and I'll pull it out of them.
That's where I was going with it. It's like, yeah, they can hire resonance content marketing.
Yeah, there you
Uh,
go. There you
That's
go.
actually that is a good option because of course we want them to come to you, but hiring someone and bringing someone in to sort of help out and take over that resource for you, it's
Hmm.
not always available to especially smaller businesses. More
Hmm.
available than some people might think, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, but if someone's looking for a service like yours, what are the key things that we need to keep in mind? Like why do I want to hire you versus someone else?
Yeah. Um, well, I'm friends with Kevin Tomlinson, for one. I mean,
She
hello.
gets the full word slinger endorsement. That's why.
There you go. I
That
got the
sound you
happy
hear
pants
is
seal of approval,
yeah,
baby.
that sound
You
you hear
know?
is thousands of people clicking away from the.
Right, right. It's a good question because, one thing, as you mentioned, content marketing is now a huge buzzword, and there are
Yeah,
a lot of kind of Me Too people signing up for it and calling themselves content marketing specialists or content marketing agencies.
right.
Um, I mean, what I would look for is someone who has a really solid background in writing
Yeah,
because yes, we do video and audio, but really writing is the core of content. And yeah, look for someone with a really good writing background. And then as you look for people to engage with or to talk to about hiring their services, look at what they're doing.
yeah,
Are they walking the walk?
right.
I talk to so many people, they're like, oh, don't look at my blog because I'm way too busy helping my clients. It's like, okay, would you go to a dentist with really bad teeth who says, oh, I'm
Yeah.
too busy serving patients to floss? Well, no.
You're making me feel really bad. Um, because I'm one of those cobblers whose kids have no shoes sometimes. Actually though, it's pretty funny because uh, I you and I have worked together a little. And your process, I've watched it unfold. You've got a very cool process, like the whole. I don't want to give any secrets away. I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about or not, but you've got a process in which you sort of ask questions and you're basically profiling the client,
Mhm.
which I have never done. I talk to them and I kind of get to know the vibe of them, but how effective is that? I mean, I've seen the results of that so far, and it's really cool and interesting. How do you how do you get to know that client and get to know their personality and voice so that you can speak on their behalf?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing we do when I sit down with a new client, especially if we're working on a strategy, is I have um, gosh, it's probably about a 15 to 18 page questionnaire
Yeah.
that I go through, and it's really interesting because a lot of these questions I will ask, what are the top three pain points that compel people to hire you?
Mm-hmm.
Things like, what are your competitive advantages over your competitors? And for a lot of clients, it's the first time they're actually thinking
Yep.
about these issues. So it can be really an enlightening process for them as well. Um, and then we get into, we get into some really fun branding questions. Like I
Yeah.
ask, if your brand were a car, what kind of car would it be, or what kind of animal would it be? And that's always fun to get the different perspectives on that.
Yeah.
So
Platypus,
and
by the way.
platypus,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Um, the animal that looks like a mistake
Still,
is the one you've
still,
chosen.
still a mammal. Lays eggs.
Uh-huh.
The females have a poison spike on their feet. Yeah, it's a very cool animal.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm in, and no
Okay.
no pants at all.
No pants. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, once we get through that process, I put together a super cool strategy document that encompasses everything we've done, and then in between the interview and the presentation of the strategy, I'm going out and doing research on their competitors and seeing what their competitors are doing and what are the topics that they're covering in their content, and how are their engagement levels, how are they doing on Facebook. So what I present to them is a really comprehensive strategy for going forward. And then the cool thing about that is if they want to hire me to implement for them, that's absolutely wonderful. But if they have a team in place and they can do this on their own, it gives them a roadmap for really building that engagement and building a solid content marketing program.
So at that point, you're taking a more strategic role than a direct like service role.
Right.
I like that a lot. So, I soaked up a whole 30 minutes with you, and I don't want to keep you from your stuff, but I wanted to bring it back around to the story because I feel like that's really on what we're kind of skirting around a little. We're not skirting around it. We're diving straight into it, but that's really what this is telling the story of that client's brand, and what you're doing in that discovery process is exactly the sort of thing that, as an author, I would do with a book. Like I'm finding out what those characters, how they represent themselves, the sort of iconography involved. So that's very fascinating. I appreciate your process. I'm going to adapt some of it with my clients. Actually, so I'm totally stealing from you.
All right, steal away.
For the author coaching clients. So,
Awesome.
so you got anything going on right now? Is there anything you? I know you've got your podcast and you've got your all the stuff on your site. Your blog is a continuous thing, and your email newsletter and all that. You got anything you want to push out to the public right now?
I do, because I don't do nearly enough. So just to alleviate my boredom, I have started a monthly webinar.
Oh, cool.
And it is absolutely free. It's a VIP webinar. It's 1 hour. I think it's the third Wednesday of the month, and we cover in depth one aspect of content marketing. Yeah. So we covered blogging, we covered outsourcing, and then in the month of October we're going to be covering e-newsletters. So
outstanding. I'm going to sit in. I actually sat in on a couple of those, and they are very well done. And
thank you.
You take a lot from that. And I like the fact that I was able to, because I was out and about during the last one, I was able to dial in.
Oh, cool.
And listen on my phone. And then when I got back to my computer, I could pull it up and see the whole thing. So
cool.
They're very well done. So definitely, if you're out there, check that out. Where can they learn more about those webinars? Sure.
The best way to learn about that is to get on my email, my marketing tip of the week email list. You see how I did that? Okay. You want this? Sign up for my list. Give me your email address.
I'm over here quietly bowing to your
So yeah, you can go to my site, resonancecontent.com, and there will be a little blurb on the right-hand side. Sign up for our e-newsletter, and if you do that, you will get the latest and greatest information about the upcoming webinars.
Well, you heard the lady. Go to resonancecontent.com. Check that out. You can also, I encourage you to subscribe to her podcast. If you subscribe to only 2 podcasts this year.
That's it. That's all you need.
Hers and someone else's. I don't know whose.
All the rest is crap.
Yeah, everything else is garbage.
Yep.
So thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And, you and I talk. We're actually going to get together and hang out on Monday. So
we are.
Everyone can be jealous.
Yeah. Good stuff going on.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And again, I'm just going to throw it back out there one more time so everybody has it. So repetition is the key to memory, right? So go check her out. Check out Rachel on resonancecontent.com and sign up for her list and get her newsletter, which is very informative. And you can download a free ebook on her site too, which is cool. And get into those webinars because that's pretty awesome stuff. So thanks a lot, Rachel. And
all right. Thank you, Kev.
All right. Take care, everybody. Well, that was Rachel Parker with Content Resonance. I messed that up for you. Sorry, Rachel. That was Rachel Parker with Resonance Content Marketing. I love Rachel. She's one of these, like, she's kind of inspirational in a way. I've been talking back and forth. We've done some work together, especially recently. She's engaged my creative agency, Happy Pants Creative, to help out with some things with her company. And she's she's really easy to work with. She's a lot of fun to work with. She's hardworking, harder worker than I am. So which isn't saying much, I guess. I'm not all that hardworking. I say that, and then I feel like I have no time because I'm always working. But if you are interested in engaging Rachel's services for any marketing for your business, I mean, she's really good at it. I vouch for her 100%, especially now that I'm kind of helping her out with some stuff. So why don't you give her a ring? Go check her out at resonancecontent.com. And if you forget that, you can always email me, contact me through the show, and I'll put you in touch. I'm always happy to do that. If you go visit me at wordslingerpodcast.com, you can get in touch with me that way. And I hope you will. I hope that because one of the things that I have a marketing background, and that's a partial impetus for this show, because story folds in with marketing in a way that's kind of unique, and I want to be able to help small businesses, kind of find their story, define their story, create that brand, but get beyond the sort of doublespeak of brand that you hear all the time. Get into the real meat of your story, because that's how you connect with your audience, your customers and potential customers, is to engage them in a story. It sounds weird, or it can sound weird, but I promise you there's a way to back this up. You get in touch and I will be happy to walk you through it, and so will Rachel. So resonancecontent.com is the website for Resonance Content Marketing, and Rachel Parker. And I hope you enjoyed this week's show as much as I did. There's a lot here, man. I could go on about story as it relates to content marketing at length for days. It would be easy. It would be very easy. I could turn this into a whole content marketing podcast if I really want to. That's the danger of this. Any given topic I bring into the show is usually something I'm knowledgeable about, so I could probably go on for a while. At any rate, if you're listening the week of October 13th, that would have been Monday. By the way, my birthday was on October 12th. That was Sunday. My glorious 42 years old now, or as my good friend Nick Thacker would say, I'm venerable, which is a running gag on our show. If you are interested, that's what I was going to do, is plug all these different podcasts. Man, I'm involved in a ton of stuff right now. But the primary stuff, if you want more of the word slinger in action, that would be me. You can check me out along with Nick Thacker, who's an outstanding author and marketing guru, on the Self-Publishing Answers podcast. So if you have any interest in getting your own work out there in a book, tune in, check us out. We can definitely help you, man. Nick knows his stuff. He really does. I actually went to him for coaching when I was first kind of getting my feet under me. Speaking of coaching, I do offer author coaching. You can... what's the best way to do this? So I'm in transition. I'm moving a lot of stuff off of my main website and onto dedicated sites. I don't want to reveal that yet. There's something coming. There's something coming that I think you'll dig, especially if you're an author. But for now, for author coaching, you can go to my website at kevintumlinson.com/author-coaching. And that'll put you in touch with me. If you just land on kevintumlinson.com, you're bound to find that coaching button. And you can set up a free 30-minute session with me in which I will go through and talk to you about the best way to get started and rolling on this. It's not as hard as you think. It's actually very easy, and I'm here to help. So please get in touch. And Nick Thacker is also a good resource for that. We do a lot of work together, so you're going to be well covered. So come check me out. Check us out. Check out the whole thing. You can also catch me on a episode of To Be Read, which is a podcast for it's a reader-centric podcast in which I was asked some questions about, what am I currently reading. Excuse me. And the topic that we covered was, do you check out an author before, during, or after, or ever when you discover them? Do you go look into them and find out more about them? And we had there was an interesting conversation, so I urge you to go check that out. Go to iTunes and look up To Be Read, and those guys, they have several podcasts there, but go ahead and subscribe to that. And while you're there, subscribe to this podcast, Wordslinger Podcast. Give me a few stars. I'd really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it for this week. I think you're probably hearing music right about now. I'm not hearing it because I'm in a car. And I'm not driving, by the way. That said, one more thing. You may not be hearing music yet because I got one more thing. I just released Citadel Omnibus, which is the collected Citadel trilogy. And if you're a reader of science fiction, I think you'll dig it. It's not nuts and bolts sci-fi. It's very character driven. This is all 3 works in one book for the first time ever. So sit down with it. I'm only offering it on Kindle right now. It's a Kindle Select book right now. I'll offer it in other formats later, but for at least the next 90 days, it's going to be a Kindle book only. And I'm offering it at a very low price of $4.99, which you can actually read it for free if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, which is like $10 a month. I highly recommend that, by the way, if you love to read and you read a lot and you're into ebooks. So go check that out. Citadel Omnibus. That's the collected series in one volume. You can save. Let's see. I think just to get 2 of the ebooks is like $6. So you're right away. You're saving quite a bit of money on all 3 at $4.99. So that's an introductory price. So go check it out. I urge you. So go forward and read and enjoy, and let me know what you think. I dig that whole series. That was the first series I wrote, and I'm now on to the Sawyer Jackson books. And I'm working diligently to try to release the second Sawyer Jackson book. That may or may not happen. It didn't happen on the time frame I wanted. I wanted to release it by my birthday, and that didn't happen. So may or may not happen within the next couple of weeks. I'm working on it. I swear I'm working on it. I got that, and I also have that book, The Lucid, which I'm working on with Nick Thacker, which has to be the deadline for that's coming up. So we're trucking along. Lots of books, lots of work. So at any rate, thank you so much for tuning in. Go check me out online at wordslingerpodcast.com, where you can leave me a voicemail and ask me any question you want. If you want to get in touch with one of my guests, I urge you to, because these people are amazing. I love all of them. I'm so grateful to all of them for being a part of the show and helping me out. I would like to help them out in any way I can. If you are interested in being on the show, you think you got a topic, a story-related topic that would be worth covering, why don't you give me a shout-out? Same website, wordslingerpodcast.com. Follow the buttons. There will be a lot more convenient stuff there eventually. And there's stuff there that doesn't make sense right now, so just bear with me. It's under construction. But go check that out. And thank you so much for tuning in. You're the whole reason I do this. I love talking to you guys every single week. And I hope you enjoy. So take care.
Word Slinger.